Hi, I'm Evan and welcome to the Canvas tutorial show. On this getting started video, we're going to look at how you can restrict and lock content in a module, both the module itself and individual course items within that module, to force students to accomplish certain tasks before they're allowed to move on. Now, before we get into it, just a quick word of warning. This is a great tool if you know how to use it well, but I would encourage you to play around with it in your sandbox before you actually push it out to students, because you might discover that it doesn't work for the way you are teaching. Just because you can use a tool doesn't mean you should. You need to actually suss that out in your mind. This works really, really well for asynchronous learning, especially when you have the entire course mapped out and students are just plugging through it on their own. But it may not be necessary in synchronous learning, where students might be missing certain days and they have to keep up with where you're at in the class. But let's go ahead and get started. So here I just have a couple modules that are already built, and all these are some fake pages that I created. And notice that I've published both of these. So what if I want the student to fully complete Unit 3 before I allow them to go on to Unit 4? So the way I would do that is I'm going to use a prerequisite. And so scrolling down here, find this little snowman menu right there and click on it, and then go ahead and get into the edit. Now here you notice that there are a couple different options. One of the options is that you can actually lock the content down by date. Okay, so let's say that I want to show the students that this module is coming up, but I don't want them to be able to access it at all. That's where I'd use the date. And so I could choose a certain date, and until that date arrives, that content will not be visible to the students. Or it will be visible, it won't be accessible to the students. Okay, so that's a good tool to use if that's what you want. But what we want to do is we want to build it so that the students have to complete a prerequisite before they can move on. We want them to do module Unit 3 before they can do Unit 4. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click Add Prerequisite here. I'm going to find the module that I want them to complete, and then I can hit Update Module. Now notice that you can actually put more than one, and I only have one before it. But it works in sequential order, and so it won't let me give them a module that comes after this one as a prerequisite. So if I want the students to do a prerequisite, that module has to be above the current module that I'm working with. Okay, but so we'll just do that. Update module. Now, if I go into student view, I want you to notice something. They can still access all of Unit 4. Even though it says prerequisite here, they can still access all of the content. Okay, so why is that? I'm going to reset my student view real fast, and then I'm going to leave student view, taking its time. You get a dance. There you go. So the reason why is that I haven't actually locked any content in module 1 or Unit 3 here. And so what I need to do is I need to go back up to that snowman menu, hit edit, and notice I have only one item here. I don't have a prerequisite because this is my top module. Again, prerequisites work with the modules that come above it. It won't let you do it for any modules that come below it. And so I'm going to add a requirement. Now, in adding a requirement, I'm going to decide, do I want the student that they have to complete every requirement that I put here, or that they only have to accomplish one requirement? And so when would I choose one or the other? Well, let's say that I am putting all the content on the page, all the assignments that I want, or the readings and the watchings, whatever, but all I want them to accomplish is the assignment or the quiz, or maybe it's 2 assignments. Okay, then I would say must complete one of these requirements. Okay, so I'm going to hit this one, and I'm going to say all I want them to do is do the discussion, and they have to contribute to the page. Notice that each different type of page, they can either view the item, they can mark it as done. If you say mark it as done, it's going to put a little mark as done button above the page that they would click on, or they can actually contribute to the page if I've set the permissions for students to be able to do it. For discussions, it's view or contribute to the page. There they'd actually have to reply. For external URL, it's just for view. For files, it's view as well. And then for assignments, it is mark as done, submit the assignment or score at least a certain score. If it's something that I have to grade, they won't be able to actually move on until I go in and grade it. And so keep that in mind. I don't have quiz on here just because I didn't have one in this module, but a quiz, similar thing, that they have to take the quiz or they have to score certain scores, so on and so forth. So that it looks like this, and then I can say that they have to score an 80% or whatever it is I want to score. Okay, so that's if I want them to just complete one of the requirements. Okay, but I might want them to complete all the requirements. And so right now, all I have is one requirement. And we'll just say that they have to view this item. But maybe I want to set more than one requirement. And that might be every single item in that module. It's really up to you. And so I'm going to say that they have to view, just for fun here, every single item in that module. And so until they've actually done that, they've hit that next button and viewed it, they won't be able to move on. The last option that you can consider here is students must move through the requirements in sequential order. If I click that, update module, and go to my student view, notice that, there you go, that it grays out every item, and the only way, and you see here that it says complete all items, the only way they can access it is that they've actually done it in sequential. So for this one, I don't have any actual content in here, but it just says next. And so they would have to actually just click next. I don't have any that says mark is done, but if it did, it would have a mark is done button up here. Or if it was like a reply, they would actually have to contribute to it if that's what I've chosen. Okay. I'm going to hit reset student view because anything that I've done is going to be saved in the student view. And so the next time I make a change, it won't work right if I don't reset it. Okay. So what have we done today? We have looked at how you can set prerequisites and lock content either by date or by doing it sequentially. You can decide whether you want to do one item or all items. It's really up to you. But again, that warning, really think about whether or not you should use this tool or when you might use it. It may work better for your high school students, but not necessarily for your elementary students. And think about maybe you don't use it all the time. Perhaps you use it with certain things. For example, that you're forcing that you have to do this Quizlet deck before you take the vocabulary quiz. And you can do that by using the modules. As always, make sure you follow the show at Canvas Tuts on Facebook, as well as join the community and add your material. What have you created? Share it with the rest of us because we like to share the good stuff. If this video has been helpful, hit that share button and share it with your colleagues. Have a good day.